welcome back to another Sims 4 building challenge. Today, I'm actually going to be building something that is extremely close to my heart. I've been really inspired by different places around the world recently, so let's get inspired by somewhere I'm from. So to a lot of new viewers, you may think that I'm Irish, and partially I want to say yes. But no, I was actually born in Poland, but I've been living in Ireland for the last like 20 years. So to me, I feel like that blend of nationalities has just come really naturally. As much as my heart is still in Poland and it forever will be, I do consider myself being Irish. So with all that aside, today we're going to be building a Eastern European apartment. They're a very much so staple architectural idea of a lot of Eastern European countries. And I don't mean just Poland. I have Googled a couple of different inspirations, which isn't actually giving me a lot. It's kind of giving me things like this, but honestly, considering I have a whole family in Poland, a lot of it didn't really look like this. Maybe parts of it would be like this, but this is very much so the southern part of Poland. I am going to be really inspired by my childhood and the things I've seen, but I found some articles as well about different areas in Eastern Europe and how the apartments actually don't differ much from each other. In the Czech Republic, we've got this lady in Russia, we've got this person in Georgia, Serbia, Germany. So you can see a lot of these homes from the outside have a very common look to them, and the insides would also be similar. I think that's pretty interesting because coming from a place like this and living in apartments my whole life when I was born and, you know, always visiting my grandparents, it was always very interesting. Now looking at this, I'm trying to turn this into an aesthetic for my build, which is just wild. Another thing that I thought was interesting was to actually go onto a Polish like real estate agent website where you can actually look at some apartments. Upon stumbling on these websites, you can still find old apartments. Yes, this is what I'm talking about. Like, look at this bathroom. The kitchen is so small. Why is that at an angle? That is such like a Sims thing to have this cupboard at an angle. Yeah, very simple bathrooms. Oh my god, those kind of doors as well. Oh, I wish we had them in The Sims. I always beg The Sims. Like, every time I get a chance to beg for something, I'm like, can we please get an Eastern European inspired pack? I would love to be able to make more apartments like this. And the idea of like the intercom, more of those like cabinet vibes, or random rugs and blankets, pull out beds like this. You know those beds that it's a couch and then like you lift it up and you snap it a few times and then it turns into a bed? I think there's great ideas that The Sims can take, and I'm always here to give some advice. I'm going to get inspired by mainly Polish apartments, but honestly, when you Google any Eastern European apartments, they are very similar. And I don't think the layout will be too different considering a lot of our apartment blocks back in the day did look like this, and a lot of them still do look like this. This little tapestry on the wall, please, I would love that as an art piece on the wall. More expanded mushroom picking. We could be making pickles in The Sims as well. Guys, there's so many Polish ideas and Eastern European ideas I've got. So us Eastern Europeans, we need to be seen in The Sims. And I think especially now, we need a lot more representation of cultures and more representations of people and humans and our real life stories, because isn't that what The Sims is all about? So we're working in Evergreen Harbor. This apartment block is probably one of my favorites, but this is probably the most realistic apartment. I've really particularly liked this one because it has a balcony, because of course, if you're living in an apartment your whole life, you are not going to have the possibility of doing a garden. Now, the only thing that really pisses me off about this garden is that you can't put any items out here. So instantly, I'm going to start working on the layout. If you are enjoying this and if you are enjoying my content, please don't forget to subscribe. I've been really appreciating your support recently. I am extremely just so happy and proud to have such a beautiful community. Hopefully you guys enjoy my videos. We're making a Polish apartment today. A lot of apartments would have a very generously long hallway, and I'm literally instantly thinking about one of my grandmothers. Her apartment literally is just a long hallway with some rooms branching off of it. Now, the apartments that I lived in, which I actually did build in the past, so I will leave that linked for you down below, that was a studio apartment. We had to build me a bedroom by installing a second wall because we didn't have enough. So honestly, looking at how small my apartment was, I could make two of them inside the space, which is just fantastic. And a lot of them would have a bathroom straight away coming out from like just by the front door. Now, this might be a little bit of a long bathroom. Now that I think about it, why don't we actually put this wall here and have maybe this window be a part of the sitting room? I'm very interested how many of my viewers are from like Eastern European countries. Love to see my Polish people in the comments. So please let me know if you are from an Eastern European country. Make yourself known. I need to see you guys. Okay, then I'm thinking, if we're thinking about my grandmother's house, hers literally has a kitchen right here. The majority of the apartments actually have like separate rooms, and we don't really have dining rooms. The dining room would be in the sitting room. I would like to say that Polish people are very family oriented, so we do have a lot of family gatherings. So thinking about my other grandmother, her sitting room is the happening spot. She would have like a big dining table that like she pulls out. So every time we come over, she like pulls it out from the wall, adds extra chairs from God knows where, and all of a sudden we have like this massive family gathering. Sitting rooms, I feel like, are a very major happening spot. Would be able to do 2 separate bedrooms here, which I'm thinking, is that actually how I want this layout to be? There is also a lot of those harmonica doors that we would have, or else just like archways, or else just like no doors, which is just really funny. Also, my grandmother's bathroom has a door that has like glass on it, and I'm like, I mean, the glass is frosted. It's kind of like this kind of vibe. I just love how many ideas I have for this pack, and like, not to say that like I really want a frosted glass door like this. It's not really going to change the way I look at The Sims, but I think representation like that is just so necessary into creating a real reality for a lot of people. So I think it just makes sense to have things like this. Okay, so I think I'm gonna use this door for the bathroom. Oh wait, now sorry, maybe this will be more so like the bathroom door, and then maybe we'll actually just use this for the bedrooms. No, I'm not allowed to put a window on that side of the building. So this side of the apartment will not have any windows. Also, actually, my bedroom when I was a kid didn't have any windows in my bedroom. So I think I'm going to get inspired by this idea. But now I'm kind of annoyed because I wanted this to be the kitchen. But the kitchen usually has a window in it. So that doesn't really give me the vibe that I'm after. Unless I just make the kitchen here, it would still be a separate entity from the sitting room. But usually from experience, remembering how our apartments were, we would have the kitchen like across the hall from the sitting room. Okay, so we would just have like a random corner here, which is a little bit weird, but I guess that's okay. Yeah, the bathroom would definitely be at the very end, because I even know at my grandmother's house, if you open up her bathroom and somebody comes in from the front door, sometimes the door bashes. It's really funny, but I really like that concept. I think it's realistic, okay? I think a lot of these apartments would really focus on the functionality and the practicality more so that then they would function on the actual aesthetics. I think that's what it was for a lot of Eastern European places. I think to make sure that things are functional. So that is what we've got going on here for us. And actually, this room I'm particularly happy with because I can instantly just put a radiator underneath the window. And I don't know why that is, but that's what we would have. And also, I'm going to add windowsills because you know what? I don't understand why The Sims decided, oh, let's make windows with no windowsills. That is another thing. We have a windowsill for every single window, and I don't want to hear about it. It's just the way it is. And I'm sure it's not only Eastern European places that have windowsills. And then honestly, you would have a little plant or something, or like a family photo. Okay, nothing goes up on those shelves. That's fantastic. You would have some sort of a plant. You would have some family photos. Bob's your uncle. That's just how we roll. I actually, now that I think about it, this is going to be a very tough layout to do because I definitely want to do that like wall that almost has, you know, like what are those called? The name has escaped me, but you know the way the TV is like enclosed inside an actual bookshelf. And actually, now that I think about it, I think from Dream Home Decorator, those items are actually ideal. So something like that would look pretty perfect. But I don't know whether I want to do it like this because we don't really have couches that are like in the center of the room. I think the couch would definitely be somewhere else, but I don't know where. Wait, unless I put the door over this way, I move these on that wall instead. But my other grandmother used to have a different apartment that she lived in. And the way that her couch worked was actually like this, which honestly makes zero sense having a couch facing a radiator, but that's the way it was. And this used to pull out and turn into a couch, which I would love that concept, you know, like these, but just like make it literally just that couch that like your sim would just pull out and then it would turn into a bed. Like I need to see that. Like I think it would just be amazing. In Poland we also had those like little doily curtains, so like these kind of things, essentially literally that, but you know, maybe like a version like this, but they were like doily patterned, and we don't really have that in The Sims. So again, Sims, if you want to make something cool and Eastern European, hit me up. I'll literally give you notes from my grandmother. I'll ask my grandmother actually. Do you know what? I'll bring my grandmother with me and we will design the best Polish pack the world has ever seen. And also we definitely would need like another set of chairs. And in my grandmother's house, we actually had chairs that were like against the wall like this, but then they were like almost intersecting the couch. Like I kid you not, it was literally like this. And then the entrance to her balcony was through this side. So you'd have to like bend your back around the couch to enter the balcony. But like this is is literally exactly what I'm talking about. And I think we've got a couple of those type of rugs that we could really make work here. Like I'm thinking about you, actually. You're a really good contender. Even this thing, oh my god, that one, that's a solid one, and it's big. And it also has those frilly bits at the back. Am I gonna start crying? Because I really love these ones from the werewolves pack. I think these are also fantastic. More, imagine this, but in a tapestry on the wall. This is just like, this is making me really emotional because I just love seeing things like this. And I visit family really often. Like I'm in a very privileged position to be able to visit my family very often, but still things like this make me so emotional seeing it in The Sims. If this, something silly like this is making me emotional, then I can't imagine what other representations would make people feel seen and emotional and happy to play their favorite game. So I think I'm just waiting for an Eastern European pack. We would 100% have a coffee table, and a lot of them actually would have like a little piece of glass, and like the furniture wouldn't really match, to be honest with you. But when I was a kid, oh my god, coffee table, crap underneath the coffee table. I can actually even put stuff underneath there. Like my grandmother used to sit on a chair and do crosswords all day long, and she would have like stacks of crosswords. That's what we could add into The Sims 2. Guys, someone has to start taking notes, and I will make a video specifically about what we would put into a Sims pack. This TV reminds me of my grandfather so much. I know it's like really, it's a lot, but I think it would make sense. I know that this layout really makes no sense, but looking at this is the closest thing I can like achieve to my grandmother's house. And it like somebody like if you're watching this and you're like you've never been to Poland or any Eastern European country, you're gonna be like, what the heck are you doing? But this is life. This is the way it is. Whoa, that is actually, this pack is coming through. Oh, wait a second. We could do something like this. So either that, right? Or else I would also need to see a table with a cloth, usually a white cloth. Going to my grandmother's house, we're having breakfast. Only breakfast. She pulls out the nicest doily tablecloth the world has ever seen. And what's the first thing that Sandra does? Spills her tea all over it. And then I'm like, oh my god, I've destroyed her doily thing. And she's like, don't worry, honey, I've got 100 more. That would be a really interesting part also to add to the Sims pack. So just like a tablecloth. And I can't really see that here at all. I think I might go with like this style. I think that probably makes more sense. When it comes to chairs, we almost would have something like this. But let me think of something maybe a little bit older to fit the theme. Like maybe this actually would work quite well. That kind of rounded thing really reminds me of like a mid-century 60s kind of Poland vibe. So maybe we will go for those ones for the time being. Also, another thing is, since I've been living in Ireland for 20 years, that is one of the reasons obviously why I had the incredible opportunity of working on the Enchanted by Nature pack. Was just a dream come true, of course, and I think I've talked about that long enough now. But being able to show a country through my eyes, as a person that's literally, I've grew up here from like my pre-teen to obviously my adulthood now, so it was almost like I spent my childhood in Poland, but then like my teenagehood really growing up into a person in this country. That's why in Ireland, that's why I find myself to not be able to just say that I'm like oh, I'm just Polish or I'm just Irish. Obviously I was born in Poland, so I have to say that I am Polish, and I'm of course extremely proud of being Polish. But there's also that other side of, you know, you grow up in many different countries. Your life, it almost has like parts of you and like pieces of you all over the place. Actually, we would probably have this many chairs. Oh wait, no, sorry, I'd have to put the other chairs against the wall. That's what my grandmother does. She like hides them over there. This, yes, but, like those are the two chairs that she pulls out only when I fly in to see her, so that's fantastic. Anyways, a long story short, working on the Enchanted by Nature pack I think was really interesting for me, because as a person that was born in Poland and moved to Ireland and really has taken in that cultural difference, it really made it easier for me to pick out the Irishness that I could add then to the Enchanted by Nature pack. So that was also really interesting. Also, my grandmother would have paintings like this everywhere, like literally paintings of like landscapes, and she still has some of these paintings. Maybe let's pick the flooring. So a lot of floors would be like wooden or else like lino or something like this, like tiling. But also I always think about this flooring being, oh my god, this flooring being quite Eastern European, because we would have these intricate patterns for whatever bloody reason. Like the builders in Poland just love to do things crazily. See, I'm kind of thinking more so, oh, or carpet. Yes. Imagine we had this design rug, but in a carpet. That's what I want, because we don't have that. Like the closest thing I have to actual design that would make sense would probably be like this, Which, you know what? That's actually not a bad shout either. Or else maybe, what if I make my own pattern? Oh, but wait a second. What am I doing? And why do I love it at the same time? Do you see the vision? Okay, I think the green and the red is screaming too much Christmas. So maybe I'll actually do this brown. I feel like it is weird, but I just see it. And then maybe we could do this for maybe the bedrooms. We could do that. Oh no, sorry, that's not a bedroom. That's a kitchen. So we'll do the bedrooms like this. And then the kitchen. Oh, the kitchen. Let's go into the kitchen for a second. Kitchen would definitely have some design, or else just like really boring, like sterile tiling. I actually think I did, and every room is a different country before, and I did a Polish kitchen, and this is the vibe that I'm going for. Do you see that? Like really old. Okay, that's a lot. That now I would have seen in my grandfather's house. This, like the stove as well. Oh my god, like that is very old. Sorry, the bottles of vodka at the top. I can't. Sorry, that's really funny. We're in my old video. Look at the state of me. Anyway, so this is what I did in the past for our Polish kitchen. Look at the way it looks. You see, I'm kind of thinking about this type of style. So I'll probably do something similar to this, to be honest. This would also be a pretty interesting kind of feeling. Actually, maybe this is giving me more kitchen vibes. And then the wallpaper. Oh, maybe some wooden paneling. I know I always use these wooden panels, but like we genuinely would have that. Like we actually would have wooden panels. Maybe not more in the kitchen, but maybe inside like the bedroom, because even those like temporary walls, they were usually made out of like a wooden texture. So I wouldn't be too opposed to doing that idea. I think that's amazing. So then for the oh, sorry, that's not the kitchen. Why do I keep getting confused? For the kitchen, I think this is what I've used in the other video, and I think that would be, honestly, it'll be pretty good, but probably just like in the white swatch. But I also definitely need some sort of tiling, some sort of like basic square, usually kind of white tiles, even actually maybe this thing. Actually, not too bad. We could have just like a little bit of both. And then of course we would have a little window here. And instantly, before I even do anything to this window, I'm putting this up above it, and there's just no chance for this window to ever see the light of day. It has to have one of those like tiny little things. And I wish that was like a doily, like a see-through thing. That would just be the best vibes the world has ever seen. So I think I might do this. Thinking about the layout of my grandmother's kitchen, her fridge is at the very corner, so we're gonna do the same. And it's actually literally a fridge kind of like this that I would imagine in a Polish home, maybe even beige. Guys, who needs white when you've got beige? Am I right? I really like the idea of these, but I am kind of more so seeing something like this. Again, the amount of drawers would be ideal for the functionality, so I definitely want to maybe achieve something like this out of that. Now, my grandmother also has a dishwasher, so I wouldn't be too opposed to adding that for her. Well, as if I'm making this for my grandmother. No. Dishwashers are a very common thing nowadays, but then also at the same time, of course, we would have a sink, and maybe we would have a sink with some like clutter in it, because no, someone's always calling over for tea, so it would make sense that we've got this. Also, instantly, before I put any other clutter, just so that I can see the vision, we would 100% have a bread bin, purely because a lot of Polish people for breakfast eat these magnificent rolls that they eat with fresh bread from the bakery, and I just think it's fantastic. For the cupboards above our head, I'm kind of either seeing this, or else, where is the one that actually has like a little doily? This thing. Oh, I could do that. I think maybe this. Okay, so I've just done this. So I found this one, and I've actually merged it with some other, maybe like mismatched texture or like different cupboards. But I think that tells a bit of a better story, because we've got some items. I kind of prefer that like purple texture design back there. And then we've just got like a regular old cupboard there too. And honestly, when it comes to the bin, our bins are underneath the sink. Inside the cupboard, there would be, you open, that's where the bin is. So I really wish I could just like shove the bin inside there. And also, when it comes to like your tablecloth, again, we would have, well, not tablecloth, sorry, just like your towel, we would have a potential way of putting it on, like just say this handlebar, or else we would have little attachments on the dressers. But I guess this kind of looks okay. And then there's like a little thing up here as well. I'm just really pissed off with the bin. Something is actually kind of telling me just to put it over here, whether I don't know whether that will be functional. Maybe the bin is ready to be taken out, so we're just having it ready to go. But I need it over by the sink, because it's underneath the sink and there's just no other talks about it. Okay, so then over on this side, we would also have some sort of like a cabinet. So I'm thinking of maybe doing another cabinet. We have maybe like a thing like this, like straight in as you come in. But then we would also have like another one of these cabinets, but maybe it would have either something like this, or maybe actually this one. Ugh, it looks a bit weird though. Oh, yes, you're much better, because you actually have got like some items here that would be more realistic. Again, my grandmother would have her tea up there, so So I would like to think that maybe we could have the kettle on this as well. Don't know whether the kettle will be functional, but that's not my problem. I think, oh yes, the kettle is in there. Let's make some tea and go into the sitting room. And then you would have a little table here, usually with a tablecloth. So I will have to use this one because I mean, like, what other one can I do? Again, I'm saying usually as if this is obviously the case for everyone. Obviously it's not, but I'm just thinking about what I had as a kid and what my eyes seen as a kid and what my eyes experienced as a kid. I know that the chairs I want to use are those because I remember seeing them back when I was doing the sitting room a while ago, and I was like, oh yes, this is what I'm talking about. And again, I wouldn't be too opposed to the idea of having another chair back here. So if I yeast this out of the way for 2 seconds, put this chair inside the wall as far as it can, and then like shove this in the corner like this, because honestly the chair would be really close to like the thing, because we want to make sure that we can also fit something in here and inside that corner, and maybe we'll be able to find some sort of decoration, maybe like a little surface, like one of these kind of things in here. I think storage is also very important obviously in households like this, because once again we're talking about that functionality over the idea of things being necessarily pretty or fitting. Actually, even something like this probably would make sense, because maybe that's where we have our extra tablecloths. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Wow, guys. Right, I'm gonna add some decorations to make this room really feel like it's busy and for it to come alive. And I feel like this video is gonna be 70 years long. We still have so much to do. Guys, I'm after forgetting a stove. What's wrong with me? I was like, yeah, no, the dishwasher, ideal. Stove, Sandra, stove. And I think I'm gonna go for this one. Okay, guys, so I've added a couple of items. I'm still in the process of adding, because every time I add something, I'm like, oh, I kind of want to tell them about this. You know, it's kind of getting really fun. But a lot of Polish households also would have a calendar. And we used to have this tiny little calendar. It was made out of these like gray pages, and it was really straightforward, black and white, and kind of like red Sunday lettering. It was just so simple, but everyone had that. But obviously nowadays people get like fancier calendars. But a calendar would be very important, because a lot of Polish people are quite religious. So obviously they would have any kind of events or holy things happening coming up, you know. And also, we also have like random things like this above our doors. A lot of them also would be like crosses, you know, religious kind of symbols, but some of them would just be like random things like that. And I thought that was kind of creepy, so I'm gonna put that up there. But the kitchen is coming along nicely. We've got a lot of things. I've also added these sheer curtains. I really want them to be like a doily pattern, so I'm kind of playing around with that idea. I know it's clipping through the fridge, but just ignore it. It's really just about me telling the story more so than the actual functionality of this space, of course. So it's looking well, to be fair. I'm gonna add a couple of extra bits and then we're gonna move on. Sorry, I was just about to tell you guys how like drinking tea and coffee is such a part of Polish culture too, that like the first thing that someone says to you when you enter their apartment, instead of saying, oh my god, how are you, they're like, tea, coffee, what you want, like tell me quickly. Also, I just realized that fire hydrant back there in the distance, that's actually floating. So yeah, I wonder, did anyone ever notice that before? Okay guys, so I have finished now. This is what I've added. I've added a couple of extra pieces, such as like extra plates and stuff, just some stuff at the bottom by the radiator. So we've got some extra cups and like things cooking, because every time I visit my family, there's obviously like, they're happy to see us, so something is always cooking so that they can feed us, which is just fantastic. But I'm going to continue. I mean, I'm gonna do the 2 bedrooms pretty same kind of vibe, so maybe let's just finish off the bathroom. Well, start and complete the bathroom. So the bathroom, I am going to make that very simple. Like ideally kind of something like this for the bathroom, but maybe we could just make it a little bit nicer. Oh, sorry, this one. This is exactly it. That's what we need. It would also be kind of the same. Oh my god, like that is worrying. Like I kind of love it, but I kind of hate it at the same time. But those are the same tiles that I used in the bathroom. So maybe let's do a little bit of white and a little bit of this. Wow, that stark white against that color doesn't really work for me, but I don't see many other options. Actually, wait, unless we do this one instead. No, we'll still make it match, but we'll do an extra little bit of white. Okay, so this bathroom doesn't have a window, and I know you may be like, and yes, I am also like this. In Ireland, this would not pass. In Ireland, bathrooms with no windows are the moldiest things your skin will ever feel. You breathe the mold. You are a morsel of mold at this point. But in Poland, it's a very dry climate, so I would think that it's okay. And when I was growing up, as I said, we had a bathroom with no window, and we survived. Would you believe it? When I was a kid, we didn't have a sink in our house. We washed our hands hands in the bath. That's exactly what I did. So we had a bath, kind of like an old enough bath. I'm trying to find something that would kind of work. I'm using a lot of the cottage living pack, which I'm kind of like, what? How does that work in this space? But maybe I'll actually go for some of this, like this kind of stuff from the Dream Home Decorator pack. I feel like that also would work. Like our baths weren't shabby. Like baths were really important in Poland. I like, oh, sorry, this thing. I can see that. I can smell that bath. Oh my God, what the heck? But what we had was literally just a toilet and a shower, a bath like this. We had no shower, mind you. I think maybe we had one of those things where like you had bath and shower, which maybe I will kind of design here because that kind of would make sense. We had no like shower curtain or anything. It was just like this. And the scariest part of all of this was that we actually had the boiler above the shower. Can I even do that? Okay, I actually can. I remember being a kid and the boiler for the water was like up here. And I was like, no coverage or anything on it. And I was just like having my little bath, just looking at the boiler, just being like, oh. And I'm sure it was gas. And in certain apartments, you were able to see that little flame inside there. Beautiful. Well, maybe I could design it to make it look a little bit better, but I kid you not. That's what we had. And I think I might do that here too, because it looks ridiculous, but that's what it was. Traditional apartments back then did not care for your safety. Doesn't matter that you looked at the boiler while you were having your bath. Well, maybe I can actually like enclose it a little bit. I know I just said it wasn't really enclosed, but maybe something like that actually makes sense. Just to have like a little bit of like a shelving unit, because I suppose it was more of like a thicker, I was going to say sculpture. No, it was like a thicker thing. Oh, maybe I could put this thing on top of it to make it almost seem like it's in something. That does look a little silly. It does look a little bit like it shouldn't work like this. I swear it was mostly, it was like a box. But I think for the purpose of this, I will add a little sink because I mean, I like my Sims to have sinks. So I will just add maybe actually this sink. Again, I'm using a lot. Oh no, actually that's too fancy. I was going to say I'm using a lot of the cottage living items, but maybe I will just do this. Toilets, really small, really minute, really save that space in the bathroom, you know, that kind of way. And the lights were actually just something like this. They were just like a round ball. Like it was like a very round wall feature. Oh my God, the lighting now has made this like literally the bathroom from my childhood. That is so funny. Oh, maybe something like this for the mirror. Oh, I feel like my grandmother still has a mirror like this. Whoa. Oh, sorry. Now that I think about this, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're missing one major part of this bathroom, which I actually cannot believe I forgot. And now I don't really know how I'm going to fit this in here. But we have our washing machine in the bathroom. Guys, I'm such an idiot. I forgot. We didn't really have dryers. That wasn't really a thing, but a washing machine. Oh, yes. A washing machine vibes. Yeah, and maybe the sink can actually go kind of like here. I mean, I don't really care if this is functional. There also would be a little bin. I feel like maybe this wicker bin would be kind of like a fun idea. And then if we had this thing, like this towel rack, right? That would be ideal. But we also had drying racks that you could like dry your clothes. That would be handy, but we don't really have that in the game. Again, another thing we could add into the Polish pack. That's all I'm going to say. Okay, guys, so I think I'm happy enough with this bathroom. I've added a lot of clutter because again, I noticed that in Polish homes, we have plugs. We do have plugs in Irish homes as well, but a lot of people would dry their hair in the bathroom as well as doing their laundry in the bathroom. We also had this brown toilet paper. Like when I was a kid, to be fair, we didn't, but like my grandfather would, or like, you know, kind of older households would have this like brown toilet paper. I think it was just cheaper because it was obviously like made from like, I don't want to say recycled toilet paper because that's disgusting, but you get the drill. So then we've got like some random kind of really basic kind of cluttery bits that are just not very pleasing to look at. And I think I'm kind of happy enough with the boiler. I know it kind of makes no sense, the fact that I've enclosed it like this, but that's just what I had in my head. And yeah, that's kind of what we've got going on in the bathroom for us. So that's complete. Let's maybe try figure out some of the bedrooms. So if I even do like one bedroom here, right? I'm going to do a kid's room and then I'm going to just do like a parent's room because I feel like that would just be like the most ideal scenario. So from what I remember, a lot of households would have the bed pushed to the side. Like you wouldn't have like this grand 2 bedside lockers. I didn't even have a bedside locker when I was a kid. Like what's a bedside locker? You know, that kind of way. Their beds were relatively very basic. It would be kind of something like this. It would be more so like storage and dressers that you would have almost like along the whole wall, like that kind of way. I'm also kind of imagining this type of dresser here. Maybe like 2 of them. If I could like merge these 2 together. Again, what goes into that nook? Oh, actually this thing, that's not a bad look. This could work. And this actually, if I put 2 of them, it's still quite small. Yes. And then of course we would have a little window here, but I feel like the window would just be like one of those windows, kind of like this, maybe slightly higher. And of course, oh my god, if we were to do a window without a windowsill. Oh, I never put a windowsill in the kitchen. Oh my god, am I even Polish? Also, I know that fridge is not going to be able to open, but do I care? No, not really. But anyways, again, we would have a beautiful windowsill just underneath our window, kind of like this. Like, even looking at this image of this bedroom, you see that there's a lot of furniture. There is a little chair, and like, look at the bedside locker. That's not a bedside locker, that's just a little chair. There's a little light above the bed, which we could do. Do you see that, like, that door with like the colored glass? I don't even know what you would call that, like tinted glass. Oh, and then we see, of course, the washing machine in the bathroom. I mean, that's a nice refurbished bathroom, but still, the concept is there. Okay, that's just a bit of a hallway that I'm showing you, and that's like a very traditional bathroom door as well. I think that's quite interesting. Okay, you see here, this is what I mean by like the wooden paneling. We actually had a lot of that in certain houses. Oh, those are some boats. Like, look at this bathroom. Look at that toilet at an angle. Like, what the heck does that even mean? It's brilliant. And you see like that kind of rug, that carpet. If we had that as like an actual carpeted floor, that would be fantastic. But I'm trying to figure out what walls to paint in the bedroom, and I think I might just do them like a beigey color. I'm just working on the bedroom, and this is what I'm creating. So I'm adding like a little bit of new modern interiors, as well as some really old kind of like woodeny kind of vibe, which I think this piece would have been really nice and probably really expensive back in the day. And then we've got like a really old shabby chair, some weird paintings. And now that I'm thinking about it, because I was like, what kind of clutter do I put at the end of the bed? And I was gonna put some shoes down, and then I was like, Sandra, people in Eastern European homes don't have their shoes on. They take their shoes off as they come into the house. So then I was thinking, why don't we have like, do you know the way we've got like shoes or like wellies? Why don't we've got slippers as an item that I could just like leave around the place, like, or even leave slippers by the bed? Like, that is also an item that we could put into the Sims pack. My god, I'm actually just like adding so many items for the Sims to choose from that, you know what, I should just like copyright this idea. I'm joking. I'm really just joking, but I just really want little slippers. I want cuter little objects to put around the place. So I've completed the bedroom. This is what it looks like. I've also added some light switches and the ironing board, because that would be in the bedroom as well. It would probably be like behind something, but I mean, there's not much room here that I could do. I've added some like little cluttery bits, I don't know, like a painting, some extra curtains, because I feel like, again, I'm like thinking about those like doily see-through curtains, but I think there wouldn't really be too much in a bedroom like this. And I know there's like a hole behind there, but I just don't care. I wanted that to come through, but maybe I could just add another one back there just to kind of like close that gap, because like it would just be closed off anyways. Okay, so that is our bedroom, and now I was kind of working on the kids' room. So this will be a child. Now, when I was a kid, and even when all my cousins were growing up, we didn't have a bed like this. I mean, that is like a luxury, I want to say. We literally had a pull-out couch. Like, we had a little couch, and then I would have to like close it myself. Actually, my bed wasn't even a bed. It was kind of like a futon kind of. Let's see, my bed was closer to a Japanese futon than it was an actual bed. It was literally like you could fold it up, and it had like this pattern of like the dark sky with like the moon and the stars on it. Oh my god, it was just like bizarre. It was like really dark. My whole room was so dark because it didn't have any windows, because it was like a fake room. It was just made. So this is gonna be tough. But could you imagine like this dark navy with like these kind of moons and stars on it? Like, that's what my bed was. So maybe I will use this dinosaur as a way to show that like that's what my bed was. This room is really big, honestly, for a kid's room. So I'm not gonna lie, that's luxury again. Once again, a big luxury move. But I think I'm also going to add a desk in here, because when I was a kid, I had one of these desks. Oh my god, that is literally what my setup was. And I used to play The Sims here, and then my mom would be like, go to bed. And then my mom would come into my room and she would play The Sims instead of me while I was asleep in my bed. And I'd be like, are you doing this to me? All I want to do was play The Sims. I don't really remember what chair I had. I think it was probably just something like this. Obviously, like, it wasn't very fancy at all. So maybe I'll do something like this on this wall. And I do remember I also had like these shelves around my room, I think. But maybe we can make them rounded. I could do like a whole thing with this. Oh, Lord above. This takes me back. I also remember having like random appliance. Well, actually, I remember having... I'm not trying to base this off my own bedroom, but I'm just going to obviously get inspired by my bedroom because I was a kid in Poland. So I remember having like makeshift wooden pieces that like just say a family friend would have made for me, or like, you know, things that weren't necessarily matching. Nothing was really matching in my bedroom, so to speak, but maybe actually something like this. So I will keep this around somewhere. I mean, I'm trying to place it there because that's where I remember mine being. But then I would have one of these, and then like you would have your clothes in there and stuff, but then I also definitely had like a dresser, and I remember my dresser was like falling apart. Actually, my dresser almost looks like this, which is weird enough to think now because that's one of my favorite objects in The Sims. Wait a second. I remember, so imagine this. I had this, but every time I'd opened it, it would like sway. It was great. The thing is, in my bedroom, I did have toys. Don't get me wrong. Like, I wasn't that boring. But I had a computer and a few plushies. I was into Barbies too, I suppose. Yeah, I must say I was into those. Sorry, my computer was white, so I'm going to change it to this color. I had Barbies and stuff. I really liked the idea of playing with like scenarios, I suppose, but I also loved plushies. I still do. Like, I think it's still a nice thing to have. Maybe that's why I loved The Sims so much, because I loved the idea of Barbies and creating storylines and just creating like experiences with my plushies and like dolls and stuff. And I remember I had plushies all lined up on a shelf, so I'm gonna do exactly that. But I honestly didn't have like that many other toys. I always wanted a dog as well. So my parents were like, okay, we live in this tiny apartment, you're not getting a dog, which to be fair, absolutely rightfully so. I should not have gotten a dog at that age. But I also then kept getting like dog plushies for Christmas because they were like, we can't get you a real dog, but here's a plushie. So to resemble that, I will put like a big dog plushie here because I think that would be really funny. Again, I didn't have a bedside locker. I mean, my room was so small that my computer was like literally in my face on my bed. So maybe just for the sake of this, I will do like a little bedside locker. Maybe like something like this. Would I have had that? I feel like maybe I would have had that, like a little stool that maybe I also just used as a bedside locker. So it's not necessarily like, oh, the bedside locker serving that purpose, but maybe that kind of works here. Oh, and obviously the other thing that I loved was drawing and art. So I guess this is what I always say. I want like a drawing section, like a drawing station, which we don't have, but I guess I could use maybe just like some painting supplies. I also really loved board games, actually puzzles and things like that. I mean, I didn't have any siblings to play board games with, but if it came down to puzzles, I could do them by myself. So I thought that was also a nice way to maybe add a little bit of that here. I don't think I had many things on the walls, to be honest with you, but I will just make this seem a little bit more kid friendly, because like, does this look like an Eastern European kid bedroom? I actually don't think so at this point, because it's obviously just like a kid bedroom. That's why I'm loosely basing it off of myself. Actually make it seem a little bit more credible. Oh, I could actually probably put like some like mess. But then again, my mother would be like, excuse you, clean up that mess from the floor. I don't think I've really had much mess, but maybe just to make this more like kid realistic, maybe I will add like some clutter and stuff. Okay guys, I think that's what I'm going to do for the bedroom. So we've got some ideas of what my life maybe would have been. We've got some Sims 1 games because that's where I started playing Sims 1 in a setup like this in my bedroom. So we've got some drawings on the wall because I just kind of wanted to add a little bit maybe of a personality to this kid. But it's a really messy kind of weird room because I guess back then aesthetics weren't really a thing. It's just whatever we had, you know, whereas nowadays, like, make your kid's room be like this beautiful, okay, I hate the way these like chests of drawers are so big here, but look, it's not going to be really a playable apartment. But these days you make your apartment look so beautiful and like aesthetically pleasing, whereas back then it's just like what you had. Now I'm going to do a little bit of the hallway, and I'm going to just really do this quickly because there's not going to be much here, but I'm going to add this little foam because that's your little zapper thing to buzz people in, because in apartments like you always had that. So that would either be really close to the door, or actually relatively either close to the kitchen or like the room in the sitting room, because obviously you'd be sitting in the sitting room, so like you wouldn't want to run to the door to zap someone in. You don't want to like run to the nearest area that you're usually sitting in. So maybe then I'll just add maybe like a random kind of chest of drawers or something. Actually, this probably would have been pretty ideal, so maybe I can make this look quite, I don't want to say shabby, but like a little shabby. Actually, maybe I'll put, you know, I want to put some coats and definitely like some of these items too, but maybe this could be closer to the door. But we also would definitely have like bags and things. So maybe the bags could go like here because like you'd be going shopping. So you don't want to have your bags near you. And then definitely like some sort of a mirror. And that's kind of all we really had. Maybe just like another art piece on the wall. But like this was a room that like you only really just say goodbye to your family members in this room. Oh my God, actually a mirror like this literally ideal. That's literally perfect. Oh, and shoe rack. Of course, shoe rack. Because you got to take off them shoes. I was going to put a mat, like a welcome mat, but actually our welcome mats are outside of our door. Like in the apartment complex, like the main communal area, like when you come into your apartment, that's where you wipe your feet. So like it would technically be like this. Because I can't put objects out here, I will just put one here. But yeah, that's kind of the storyline. It would be a little bit more like that. But I have to do what The Sims says. I added some shoes and stuff here, and then like kind of like an old rug as well. And again, there kind of would be nothing else in this room. Now I do have this object, which actually this object screams Poland to me. Like those designs are very traditional in like the traditional dressings, clothes that we would have, especially in the south of Poland. So I really do love this item. Actually, do I even have enough room here for it? Maybe not. Yeah, maybe I will just have it out here then. I don't know. It's a bit of an awkward spot for it, but I mean, there is kind of nothing in this hallway anyway. I do want to put maybe another like chest of drawers inside there. That would be ideal. Now, what about the wallpaper though? Because I was thinking about some paneling. Oh my god. Sorry. Like this paneling. That is literally okay. It literally is. Sorry. I'm getting very excited now. Or else we could do like this. That's a little bit more like newer vibes. Oh my god. This is actually making me so happy. Because like obviously I know that it was possible that I could have achieved something like this. Actually even this one, but like on the whole wall. Oh, whoa, guys. As I said, I knew this was possible, but I don't do it very often. And that's why it would be so special for me anyways to be able to have a Sims pack. Like, I know it's not for everybody. Not everyone's going to be like, why do we need that? Like, we don't really. But then again, these are the things that we all eventually will just need. I'm thinking, will I just make everything brown now? Because I guess we would kind of have more brown doors than white doors. So maybe that does make more sense. But as I said, it's important, especially around these times of like credibility and artist work and, you know, human interactions with each other. I think it is very important that we continue to strive to represent in The Sims, and I think that it would be really, really nice if we could potentially have a Sims pack that's inspired by Eastern Europe. So I will fight for that, guys. I will fight for it for us. Okay, guys, so I'm working a little bit on the sitting room. So I've changed the couch and the chairs because I thought that they were a little bit more fitting and they're closer to what my grandmother had in her house. So I kind of just liked that aesthetic. And what I also did as I created this thing, so I know I could have used the ones with the books, but honestly, this probably makes a little bit more sense. And now I'm working on a little gaming station because again, gaming was such a big part of my childhood that I want to show that here. And now I'm thinking, why didn't they add, because this looks like more like an Xbox remote, they should have added something that looks slightly like a retro like PlayStation remote. I think that would have been fantastic. Now I'm still going to add this remote here, but like I didn't have RGB lights on my remote when I was a kid, so it's kind of annoying, but just really want to show that aesthetic that like we did play games. Well, in my home we did, like me and my dad played games together, so I thought that was quite important to show here. And maybe I could also add maybe some games up here. I mean, this is Sims Medieval, so we definitely didn't play that, but we didn't play Sims 3 either. That was back in the day. Yes, I did play Sims 2, unless, wait, now maybe I'll just put Sims 2 here. Okay, I'll put Sims 2 here because I did play Sims 2 on that computer, but I'll put Sims 1, Sims 1 up there. That makes more sense. Okay, so I think I'm done this room, guys. I really wanted to take the time to clutter this place correctly. So we've got a mirror on this wall as well, because I find that there is actually a lot of mirrors that people in Polish apartments have. I don't know if it's something to do with the fact that mirrors reflect spaces and it makes the space feel a lot bigger because the apartments are small. You would have beautiful family portraits everywhere, beautiful flowers, usually some sort of flowers on like the dining table. There wouldn't be much clutter on the dining table, maybe some like cookies or whatever. And I have so many curtains here that it's almost like, what the heck? And to a regular person that doesn't know anything about this country, it may be like, Sandra, you've done way too many curtains. And I feel like I am gonna get a couple of comments of people just being like, what the heck is this house? And like rightfully so. I mean, like, especially if you've never seen this before, this is not going to make much sense. But I would like to say, okay, wait, now I'm gonna space these out accordingly, because I think that also would be very, very much like this, spaced out really nicely. But we would have again those kind of see-through doily curtains. I don't know what they're called, you guys can tell me in the comments. But then we also have like a bigger curtain, so there would be like an overlay of curtains, and then you would still have like those small ones on the separate window. So there's a lot going on there. We've got the radiator back there. This is what I've done here. We have a little bit of plants, but there wouldn't be too many plants. I remember my grandmother had those plants. I don't know what they're called, but they would be like on a fishing wire on the ceiling, and they would be kind of like all over the ceiling. If I find any pictures, I'll obviously put them on the screen now, but might be a little bit hard because it's a very specific thing. But then we've got like beautiful fine china at the top, maybe some board games again. Board games, because that's just what I remember from my own childhood. And then we've got, you know, some books and some glasses, because that just reminds me of my grandmother doing crosswords. I keep saying crossroads. And then some like magazines and extra clutter at the bottom. We've got like some cups here as well, extra blankets to be cozy. Then I didn't know what chandelier to put, but we usually like, I mean, the chandelier is very fancy, but we did have kind of like chandeliers like that. But another thing we had, which I don't even know which category I'd be able to find this in, had fans, like ceiling fans. But where would I find a ceiling fan? If I was a ceiling fan in The Sims, where would I be? You think that there would be a category for it, but there really isn't. If I type in ceiling fan, no, doesn't appear. Oh, wait, now ceiling decoration. Okay, so we definitely had ceiling fans. I don't know how I'm going to make this make any sense with a chandelier, but I swear we had a ceiling fan as well as a chandelier underneath it. Unless I make this one bigger and I make it kind of like come underneath. And again, I know that literally looks bad. Like that doesn't look like anything, but I remember we had that. Unless maybe, wait, now let me change the chandelier maybe more so like this. Yeah, okay, wait, now I think something like this would be a lot of sense. And again, a lot of these things will only really make sense to people that really have lived in countries like this, but I swear to God, I kid you not, this is what we've had. And it just really throws me back, and it just makes me so incredibly happy that I have a game that I can come to and create this space, make me remember and just make me reminisce a little bit, and also be able to make you share it with you guys, because I know I really enjoy showing off apartment. Oh my God, look at the way it looks. Oh my God. Okay, this turned out a lot better than I expected, and I feel like there's other things I could have shared with you guys or should have shown you. So, I mean, I'm not going to pressure myself to show you guys everything at the moment, but there will be more videos in the future like that I would like to do. And maybe with other suggestions from you guys, I would be able to, you know, maybe do this again in the future. But the one last thing now we're going to do is do a little tour. The ceilings normally would have been, actually, now that I think about it, some ceilings would have been wooden. So maybe I'll add that too. We had styrofoam ceilings as well, which I don't really know how I can make that work here. I don't think that's really possible to make it work. So I'll just leave the rest of the ceilings white. But welcome on into my Eastern European Polish inspired apartment. So as you come in, you can like leave all your letters and all your things here. Take off your shoes immediately. Buzz in the next person that's coming in. Oh, hello, come on in. Post. Okay, come on in. Then you like leave all your cluttery bits here, and you obviously take off your shoes, take off your coat. You've got some beautiful pictures. This also really reminds me of like mid-century Eastern European apartment kind of vibes mirror. Anyways, if you want to come into the toilet, it's straight away as you come in, and oh my God, yeah, this is like literally this is it. I mean, I don't know really what else to say. This looks horrendous and it looks drab, but like that's what our bathroom kind of looked like. So I mean, I'm kind of happy with how this turned out, and I'm interested to see what you guys think of this. My beautiful boiler. Then we've got our sitting room. Oh my God, like I could actually cry. This is so bizarre. I think honestly the floor that I've chosen for here, I know it looks ridiculous, this design that I've created, but I think the floor really makes it for me, and I could actually cry. Like I am getting a little bit emotional looking at this because it's exactly what I wanted to achieve with this space. It's obviously not exactly perfect, as I mentioned, things like that. It's almost impossible to make them perfect unless you've got a Sims pack that is Polish themed, which would be fantastic. But anyways, this is what we've got here. And then of course we've got the entrance to the balcony. I wish I could also put stuff on the balcony because we would have like plants and like a nice table out here as well. So anyways, that is your sitting room. Then we've got your kids' bedroom, which is, oh my God, that actually does really remind me of my own kids' room. We wouldn't have RGB lights, of course, but we've got a lovely PC, which was a staple in my life. We've got some art, we've got board games, we've got plushies, and that is all that I did as a kid, and that I love to play outside as well with my friends, which was ideal. And anyways, you would have this bedroom. So again, in our home when I was growing up, we didn't have a second bedroom. My room was technically the only bedroom, and my parents they slept in the sitting room with like a pull-out bed. It wasn't a Murphy bed, as I said, it was just like a pull-out, like flex out bed. I don't know what they're called. I'll try leave a picture on the screen, but that is your bedroom, excuse me. Then Then you've got the staple heart of the house. This is a very cluttered kitchen, and I maybe added a little bit too much here. Okay, that is so clipping into the ceiling, even though in real life when I'm building from like up above view, I'll make it a little bit lower before I finish. But like when I'm building it doesn't seem that high, so that's a bit annoying, but whatever, I'm gonna leave it because I don't really care that much. But this is the heart of the house. This is the kitchen. This is where the magic happens. This is where all the beautiful foods get cooked. And also we would have like this little stool around as well, also to step on. But also when you're peeling potatoes, you can sit down on the ground and peel potatoes. I don't know, that's what my mom used to do, but whatever. That's what we've got here going on for us. So this is your kitchen, extremely cluttered, very beigey as well. But oh my god, like even that like iridescent light really just like brings the space together. And we of course have got a radiator here as well. I think I've got radiators in every room. I don't have one in the bathroom, but I think that's relatively okay. Do I have one in my room? Oh my god, I forgot a radiator in my own room. No. Of course I had a radiator in my room. Got a radiator here. Yes, sometimes you would have two radiators, so maybe I could add another one like here underneath this window. I don't know, it's kind of cool. I guess I could also add one in the bathroom. I mean, who's to stop me at this point? Yeah, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. Radiators for everyone in the audience. Oh wait, actually that is the whole tour. I was gonna say, oh, and then we've got this room, but actually that is the whole tour. So guys, that is my Eastern European, heavily Polish inspired apartment, and I think it just makes a lot of sense in this space. Now I'm just realizing that the apartment next door is even smaller, so let me know if you'd like an even smaller version of this, maybe with like a specific theme or something else. But I'm realizing that that apartment is a little bit smaller next door, so I can even make the two of these, and then like I could have like two families living side by side. Oh my god, that is just so amazing. I really honestly had a lot of fun building this, and as I mentioned, this is not an ideal representation of an Eastern European apartment. As I said, I took high inspiration from what I remember as a kid, but if you've got any other suggestions that you maybe have seen in Poland or anything like that, please let me know down in the comments. I would love to hear your feedback. But like on a serious note, I would really love to see more representation like that in The Sims, so I will keep fighting for that, because I think I always said that even with like windows and the idea of the windowsills, we're still missing a lot of things in The Sims. So I think this is the right time to maybe talk about things like this, things that would make the game a little bit more inclusive and just a little bit more exciting for us too. But hope you guys enjoyed this video. Well guys, I'm gonna leave you right here with this, a representation of my childhood Eastern European apartment. Really hope you enjoyed, and if you have enjoyed, don't forget to subscribe, and as per usual, let me know down in the comments, because that always means a lot to me. But yeah guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and I shall see you in the next one. Bye.